Метушня, шалений поспіх і безкінечні дедлайни. Ми живемо у світі, який вимагає від нас постійно бути на зв'язку, робити більше, швидше, рухатися продуктивніше. Як при цьому не втратити голову і залишатися спокійним? Як насолоджуватися процесом і при тому встигати все? Про це сьогодні говоримо із нашим гостем із Таїланду, монахом Лонг Пі Джоном. Мене звати Юля Гудошник, і це програма без назви, але зі змістом. Lonг Пі Джон, thank you so much for finding time to have this chat with me today.
My pleasure.
We are talking a lot these days about the world that is changing very fast.
Yes.
And how many new things are appearing in terms of technology, in terms of gadgets. And we have to catch up with all of them. We have to be constantly connected to the world. And this is so difficult to be doing so many things in the meantime. So is there any secret to manage to catch up and to do everything and not to lose peace in the meantime?
Basically, we need to, to change according to the world as it's changing. We just cannot, even for monks like me, we just cannot live our life like 2,000 years ago because, people, for example, they are not coming to temples anymore. So instead of waiting for people to come to the temple, we also have to go to show them how to find peace. So that's one thing. But for us, in order to cope with so many changes, we also need to understand one thing, that our mind is very sensitive when we have to take too many decisions. So, especially with these days, technology doesn't always make sure that we take less decisions. Sometimes we even have to take more decisions. In the past, if you want to book a plane ticket, then you just go to an agent and say, I want a plane ticket to London. And then everything is arranged. Maybe the check-in is also complete. But these days, if you want a plane ticket, then you go to the website. You have to think first which airlines, and then you have to choose the price by yourself. You have to choose the seat. You have to do the check-in, and everything you have to do it on your own. So it doesn't mean that even though you have a better phone or better apps, you will need to take less decisions. So my suggestion is sometimes we also need to take a look of the decisions that are not necessary in our life, and we can let them go away. So we just don't have to take too many decisions in our life. What are really important and critical into our life, and what are really not. For people, for me it's easy. You see that I wear cloth orange, and I wear this 24/7, so all the time. So I don't take decisions about my clothing. But for normal people, of course, they have to wear something appropriately according to occasions and time. They also need to take the decisions. But it should not be like, okay, I need to wear the clothes, I need to change new fashions the whole time. So we can minimize some of that, then of course our life will be easier in such a way.
But is it necessary to be connected all the time, or should we find time to switch off from the world, from social media? Because especially for the young generation, it's vitally important to be connected, and sometimes they spend more time online than actually offline. More than that, they're scared to miss out on something which is going on online and to go without a smartphone for, let's say, 10 minutes.
Basically, we have to understand how our brain works, because even though our brain or our mind is used to think, but we cannot think the whole time. We also need to find some time for the mind to take a break. If you compare with the human brain systems, there are two systems, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. Usually when we have to take decisions, we have to connect with people, then that is the sympathetic mode. But if you keep on using this mode for a long time, constantly, without taking a break, eventually you will feel very, very tired. And that is when you started to tell yourself, I need to take a break. So we should not actually let that the brain tells us now you have to take a break because usually that is too late. So we also need to understand that sometimes our life has to go very fast. Sometimes our life we also have to go slower. So this rhythm of movement of our life is actually the art of living a very balanced life. So you have to find that balance yourself. So if you feel like, okay, now you are going too fast already, you connected with too many information in your head, you also need to make sure that you take them out sometimes. Because our mind also needs some space to feel peace. If you have too much information all the time, your mind will never have enough space to feel the peace. It's like you have a phone, but only 16 gigabytes. And you have an iPhone with 16 gigabytes. How many songs can you download? You can't download a lot of songs. Then you need to make sure that you have more space. And that is why these days people, they practice meditation sometimes because they really like to feel the clarity and also free the mind from too much worries.
For somebody that has never meditated before, let's say, but would like to try to find this minute of peace without gadgets and just to restore the energy, what would be your advice? What to start with?
My advice is to begin with something very simple. For example, people understood that meditation is about stopping the mind from thinking. But we can make it simple by thinking only about one thing at a time. But the way we think, we should not do it in a very stressful way. So we're not going to think like, okay, I have to think about one thing. It's too stressful and it's not going to work. Because our mind is like a crying baby. If you try to force a baby from crying, which many people fails in meditation because they use their force, okay, I have to stop thinking. That never will work. So you just have to use some way which is more comfortable. For example, adjust your breathing. My suggestion is normally to breathe in deeply, softly, and slowly, and follow the breath all the way to the middle of your body, and then breathe out. And then you count one, and you do it again, all the way to the middle of your body, and then you breathe down, and then you count two. So this is how you draw your attention with your breathing the whole time. And you do it very softly because you're not going to breathe like this is going to be a bit too strong. So you're going to do it very softly and gently again and again and again. You keep your attention there the whole time. Eventually you can free your mind because our mind can only work very well with one thing at a time. Not two things. So when you feel sad, you won't feel happy. When you feel happy, you don't feel sad either. So only one thing, one feeling at a time.
You mentioned happy, and the happiness topic is also getting more and more intricate because there are so many seductions all around that people don't even know anymore how to make themselves more and more and more happier. So there is this concept of consumption, which is endless, and comparison, which is also endless. We keep on consuming and comparing ourselves to others that perhaps have more or know more. And then it's very tough to be happy, right? So what would be the tip then from the monk, how to maintain happiness?
In order to maintain happiness, I believe that we need to sometimes search inside of ourselves. Because usually we try to focus on the happiness that are outside of ourselves. That to go somewhere, to be with someone, to have this and to eat this thing, to be happy. But if we put it this way, our happiness is in the future. So if you take a look back at yourself, of what you already have, of how fortunate you are, even though you are not like the best in the world or maybe best in your country or best in your class, but you are even more fortunate than many people in the world already. So that happiness already arises when you stop comparing yourself with anyone else and like feel more confident in yourself. And also if you can remove unhappiness, the thing is that happiness should be achieved very easily by removing unhappiness in the mind. Comparison or maybe trying to consume for happiness, those are examples of unhappiness. So if you can remove the unhappiness, you are going to be happier. And one thing that actually is very important is the clarity of the mind, because usually our mind, when it is not very clear, it got contaminated a lot because of the environment, because of our life, because of problems. It is like water with ink. When the water is with ink, then the water is not clear. When the water is not clear and you see the world, it's like you wear dirty glasses. And when you wear dirty glasses, you're not going to see the world clearly. And when you're not going to see the world clearly, your mind will be more sensitive to negative things more than positive things. You think about yourself. When people say to you, you are nice, you are lovely, you are kind, you should feel good. But you won't remember for long. You forget. But if people will say to you, you are bad, you are stupid, you are lazy, now you get angry, you feel upset, you feel bad. But you also remember for long. Why the mind is so sensitive to negativity more than positivity. So what we want to forget, we cannot forget. What we want to remember, we keep forgetting. That's because our mind is not sensitive to positivity. So the easiest way, and that's why many people meditate, is because their mind is going to be clearer and their mind is going to be more sensitive to positivity. That even makes them happier, and just by removing this unhappiness in the mind.
How much should one devote of his or her time to make the mind clearer on a daily basis?
I think we already invest our time to make our body clean, right? Because we also want our body to be clean. And for the mind, which you know that your body needs to be clean because it smells.
Yeah.
But the mind, we do not actually know. So we have to constantly clean the minds as well. And I suggest normally, because if you compare with water and ink, the time for the ink to settle down to the bottom and water gets clearer is about 15 minutes. So if you can afford yourself 15 minutes of your time, maybe you don't actually have to sleep 8 hours, maybe 7.5, then you already have that 15 minutes for your meditation already. And that is going to increase the clarity and make you happier as well.